Welcome to We Build Great Apartment Communities, the only show dedicated to the process and strategies for transforming apartment buildings to thriving communities. I am your host, John Brackett, and welcome to the show. All right, folks, welcome to another great episode of We Build Great Apartment Communities, the only place where you come to learn how to take apartment buildings and turn them into amazing communities. I am your host, John Brackett. I have another great guest. His name is Wesley Yates. You know, someone that I'm really excited to get into. So Wesley, of course, has an incredible story, like many of our guests, but this one I know you are going to absolutely love. Wesley has served our country, and so for that, man, I want to start by thanking you because, you know, from a military family, we completely get and understand the sacrifices that not only you have made, but your family as well, so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we are able to today and, you know, do stuff like we're doing today. So, you know, thank you for that and really excited to have you on, bud.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. And, I appreciate you having me on as well. So definitely looking forward to sharing my story and hopefully somebody will be inspired by it and go, look, if this idiot can do it, then I know I can too. So that's what I'm here for.
Awesome. By the way, I'm going to introduce you to our audience and engage them with your bio. So Wesley's a proud Marine veteran with over 9 years of active duty service that brings a strategic outlook and goal-oriented mindset to the team. Wesley has mentored and trained over 2,000 individuals for leadership and development roles. He was recognized in 2013 by Congressman Ralph Hall for his outstanding character and service to his community, and has a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in finance from the University of Texas at Taylor. So in late 2018, he turned down an operations management job at Amazon to begin actively network in the real estate investment community, and quickly started building relationships with like-minded people and has built a really good list of accredited investors. So, hey, bud, welcome to the show. Also want to compliment you for your success and glad that we're going to get into this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy one. So I have only been in real estate for about 2 years now. So when I went in, I was coming up. I had everything under contract with Amazon. I mean, a $50,000 bonus in just Amazon stock. And I don't know sorry about that. I don't know if y'all have looked at those lately, but they're still doing pretty good. Right. And then I had another cash bonus and a salary, and I was like, oh yeah, this is good. And I met my wife. She was actually doing real estate. I went to one real estate networking event. That was it. So that's all it took. And I dove in. I threw all that to a side and went all in on real estate networking. I mean, I had nobody waiting for me. No, I didn't have a pool of money to just start investing. I had nothing. So that whole saying, oh, it takes money to make money, or you got to have a lot of money to be in real estate, that's not true. I mean, you've got to figure out what your strengths are and figure out how to leverage them. Real estate investing in this industry is a game of leverage. Whether you've got money to leverage, you got networks to leverage, or you've got time and skills to leverage. You've got to figure out what you can utilize to benefit yourself and someone else. So
awesome, man. Well said. I really appreciate you sharing that. Very well said. So speaking of leverage and strengths, figuring out what your strengths are. What are your strengths, man? What are your top three?
So I have just now started realizing how quickly I can understand something. And most of it is processing. Like I can, you know, with the team and the development and my time spent in the Marine Corps, a lot of that was leadership training, team development, and really understanding and overseeing a lot of processes. So when I can look at someone's, you know, underwriting techniques or their entire syndicating process, I was able to very quickly identify any potential bottlenecks, where to really kind of take certain parts out, replace them with this to make it go faster. So I'm really good at really streamlining any process, whether that be leveraging other networks and people that I know. I don't have to be able to do every position. I mean, when you're at a command level in the military, I don't have to be the guy on the front line to understand where I need my men on the front line and their roles. I don't have to do that. I just got to be able to know, okay, where do I want all my pieces to work efficiently? So that would probably be my biggest skill set. And a lot of it came from my Marine Corps time. Sorry, my time in the Marine Corps. A lot of what I do now, I look back and I kind of reflect on the training that I received in the military to kind of how I put into my business plan within my company at VFR Capital Investments. So I guess you asked for top 3. So I would say understanding processes and finding how to make them most efficient. Team development, because this is a team game. And the third one is not being afraid to fail. I'd probably say that if you could call that a skill. I've been called an idiot my whole life, and I don't care anymore. I just look at an opportunity to better myself, better my situation. And most importantly, if I fail, I learn. And if I learn from a failure, then it was still an advantage to me. So I come out of every failure stronger than what I did when I went into that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
it really does. It really does. So let me recap, right? Because these are really all really valuable points. So first one is streamlining process and creating efficiency. Second is team development. You can't scale without a team, right? You just can't. Nor can you enjoy your life unless you have, a functioning team. Yeah. So either way, you need teams, and you need to learn how to lead teams. So number 3 would be not being afraid to fail. And here's the thing, buddy. I really believe that is a skill because it's something that we have to, I think, embrace and learn, right? But you said something that I find really valuable, and that is, hey, there's no fail, there's only learn. And I think when we embrace that mindset as people, it puts us in a position to always be winning. And in this business, it's really important to understand how to position yourself to find wins, right? To find ways to win. Because the days, they look different every single day.
Yes.
A really good example, over the last 2.5 months, I probably have gone through almost 150 deals, made offers on 8, and now I'm going back and forth on a contract on 2, right? Yeah. 150 deals. Can you imagine? But that's the market.
No, I understand.
That's the market that we're in. And so my process is just always finding ways to be really efficient at vetting deals out on the front end so that we can spend a little bit more time, especially when I forward deals to my underwriting team, make sure that we're not bottlenecking our process with deals that just don't make any sense, right? From the get-go. Yeah.
No, I understand. My company, my team, since October, now we started VFR Capital Investments in late last year. So we're still new. Now the individuals on the team all have backgrounds and experiences in, real estate and other aspects that they bring into this. But we've underwrote little over $6.5 billion worth of real estate, in the last 6 months. So that's a lot. I mean, I would call it a lot. But you're right. I mean, an average of 100 deals a month and to only get maybe one contract, it can be devastating. Mm-hmm. So you're right in the fact that you've got to find a win. Even in your failure, you have to find a win. And I think that's the difference between the successful members at the top, the successful players at the top that everybody's looking at right now going, oh my God, I want to be on their level. They didn't start off at the top. They started off right where we're starting off. It's at the ground level. And what brought them to the top was all of that work, all of that effort, and learning from all of those failures. So I think we're right where we need to be as a company. We've already got, we're scheduled to have our first property closed coming up in about 15 days. And then we've got quite a few others that we are about to put under contract. We've got a few LOIs out right now that we're waiting to hear back on. So, I could see us being at hitting that 1,000 door count within the next, I'd like to hit that within the first 18 months of business. This is about where we feel that we're going to cross that 1,000 units under assets under management. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, talk to us about your team then. So speak to me a little bit about your team, right? You put together this team, you're underwriting. It sounds like quite a bit of deals, right? You have some offers out. You're getting ready to close on your first deal. So talk to me about your team. What does that look like? And then let's talk about your first deal that you're getting ready to close. That's always a fun one.
Yeah. So real quick, the team we've got, so I saw what syndication was. So we do apartment syndication. And if you look at a syndication team, you need people that can raise capital, you need people that can asset manage, and you need people that can underwrite deals. Right. So I went out and I found people that could do that. Now, at the time, I was a co-manager of a $100 million fund. So I was a fund manager and I wanted to give back. There was something inside of me that I was like, I want to figure out how to reach out to work with other veterans, other first responders. And I always had the same understanding, the same, I saw things the same way they did. And we always got along. Even when we didn't get along, we could still get along and understand, hey, you're going to fight through some of these situations. And if you feel like your team, you need them to be just the happiest people that you always get along, that's utopia. Good luck finding a team that you're never going to argue with. What I think you need to find is a team that you have the same morals and the same ethics as. And when I started VFR as a program, as a training program to just say, hey, look, I want to start teaching others. I started recruiting people and talking with them, and it rolled into a company. It resulted into a full company. I stepped down from the fund and went all in on this company, VFR Capital Investments. And we have 5 other, which any success and any traction that we have today, I'm going to credit to my team. They care about what we're doing. Now, we started off with 12 that were kicking the tires, seeing if they could do this, seeing if they wanted to do this, and really seeing if they had what it took to do this. Not everybody can have what it takes to do real estate. Anyone can learn. It's not complicated, but it's not simple either. It's not easy. It's simple. It's not easy. Right. So I've got 5 other individuals, and I'm going to go ahead and name drop them. We got Clay Epler. He's one of my underwriters. Now, Clay was one of the guys that I helped get into the Marine Corps back when I was a recruiter. So kind of recruited him back again for a second time. Nice. Clay actually got out of the Marine Corps after doing security forces and went to school to be an archaeologist. And he's, and if you go to VFRCapitalInvestments.com, you can kind of put a face with all of these people. Clay does archaeology now. What is archaeology? A lot of data analysis. You're analyzing a lot of stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let me throw a few underwriting spreadsheets at you. Let me walk you through a few of these things. Watch me do a few of these. He picked it right up. So Clay loves underwriting. And then we've got a firefighter that's, he's kind of the middle. He's really good at talking with brokers as well as he can still do some of the underwriting. So he's also on the acquisitions team. His name is Joshua, and Josh is a good old firefighter, been a firefighter for 10 years. But if you look at him, you wouldn't think he was old enough to be a firefighter for a year. But he's a really good guy, really sharp, really good at talking with brokers. And we've got 2 others that do really work with co-sponsors to find that people that have the money, whether there be other funds, family offices, or just working directly with investors as investor relations. We have 2 individuals, Robert Newbern and Josh Marshall. And they're both active police officers. In fact, Robert's been a police officer for 21 years now. I believe it's 21 years. And he's done everything from detective to now he's just like, they got him back on the streets as a police officer. And he's just waiting to retire. But he's also built himself up a really nice rental portfolio of just single family homes. And then early early last year, he actually started buying into commercial and JVing with other people. So he kind of already understood, hey, what it took to invest, what investors look like, or are looking at when they look at an investment. So he fit right in. And then Josh Marshall, he's a detective, still, active, been a police officer for a little over 10 years now. And, they do our capital raising and a lot of the marketing and stuff. And then we've got Jana, who's Robert's wife. She's the only one of us that actually has a degree in real estate. She's been an appraiser for a long time. I don't even remember how many years, but it's been a while. She's also built up with Robert a good rental portfolio and does a lot of the asset managing on their commercial side. So she stepped right in to do our asset managing, understand how contractors works, and she's a firecracker. She's the nicest one, but if you try to cross her, I feel bad. For you, but she is awesome. So we all work really well in looking at, deals and screening deals and operating deals. And, I really do think the amount of growth that I've been able to kind of sit back and in my seat and see how everybody's really stepped up and stepped into their roles. I'm a lucky guy. That's all I can say. I feel blessed for having such an awesome team that's willing to be in these trenches with me day in and day out and building our company and building our brand. But I think if we didn't see business the same way and we didn't see a team atmosphere the same way, it wouldn't work. We do have a similar background of being, veterans and first responders. It really does work. We understand not every day is going to be sunshiny, but where I think we really thrive is we know what a chaotic lifestyle can be. We've faced, combat. We faced, what would you want to say? Diversity. And, we're still here. So I think the fact that those guys are willing to stand right by me every day and go with this is the only reason why VFR Capital Investments has had the success that we've had in such a short period of time.
Yeah, awesome. So here's a question that I know everyone's dying to ask, and I am as well. How do you guys share the pot? Because that's a lot of people. Right?
So how we do it is, for the most part, when you close, you do an acquisitions fee. You built in an acquisitions fee. We split that equally amongst our team. Now, after that, anything that comes in from like GP shares or for our company and our piece, we split that based off of our ownership of our company. Now, we've kind of followed a few different models and done a few different, seen team structures and see how they broke down their percentage based off of their role and commitment. And we've kind of followed a lot of that, of who gets what equity. So, but everybody on our team is an equity, as a managing partner, and we all keep everybody accountable. So, that's really how we do it. We feel like it's fair that we split the acquisitions fee based off of everybody gets an equal cut. And then of course, we have a budget set aside that we're like, all right, we need to cover our 6-month in advance budget so that we know all expenses, the software, it's mainly software that it takes, to run everything. And a few, we put a little education budget aside because we like to go to networking events and we like to always sharpen ourselves and learn from other strong syndicators. So that would be pretty much how we do it there. But if it comes up to a vote, I kind of like to say, the whole Knights of the Round Table, everybody gets an equal vote. It doesn't matter what your equity percentage is of the company. Everybody gets an equal vote. So, and we've had to put a few things to a vote. We don't always agree, but I think where everyone can express their concerns and their thoughts freely, it's what I think keeps everybody humble and gives us the opportunity to know that every voice is heard.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. But really appreciate that. I know, that's gonna go a long way, especially for our audience, because that's always a big question, right? When I put together partnerships, how do I make them work? How do I share the pie? And what are some things that I should consider when starting to think through that process? And so you did a really good job of explaining that. So now let's talk a little bit about, let's pivot a little bit and talk about this first deal that you're getting ready to close.
Yeah.
So tell the story, man. Everybody loves a good story, especially your first deal. There's nothing more exciting than your first deal.
Yeah. So our first deal is a nice 119 unit property. It is a 506B raise. So, I won't name the name or all that, but it is out in West Texas in a nice area. It's up and coming, and we are excited about raising for that right now and closing on that, like I said, within the next 15 days. So we're kind of coming to the tail end. We did a very strong due diligence process, and we went door to door to door. That was really fun, and you get to smell a lot of interesting smells and see a lot of interesting things. And, when you go to door on an apartment complex, and, I'm sure anyone that's done their own due diligence knows exactly what I'm talking about, but, it's really well. We feel really strong about our business plan and our sponsorship team. We've partnered with, quite a few other strong co-sponsors. One is a very up and coming syndicator. They've got about 2,600 units under management right now, and we've done a very good job of aligning our goals with them and really building a partnership with them. And that team is Elevate CIG. They're also out of Dallas, and you got Georgia Brew and Eric Bodiwala that is on that team. And we're really doing really good with partnering with them, and we cover our roles. They got the lead on the asset managing. And so, like I said, you got to know where your strengths are. You got to know your weaknesses are, and where we were weak is the door count. So what do? We found someone that we had been out networking with. I've known George and Eric for a while, probably since the beginning of me networking, and they were willing to step in and co-sponsor this, and they kind of fulfilled where we were weak on our door count. So, you got 2,600. This is our first one. We want to make sure we're doing everything possible to build upon any weaknesses and really elaborate where we can already have strengths. So it's been great to do that. So you don't have to have it all just within your team. You're never going to have it just all within your team. So leveraging those networks and people, that's one thing I loved about the syndicating world in this industry is people are willing to co-sponsor and to partner with you so that you can both be successful. So, it's a really good deal. I'm excited about it. We've got quite a few in the pipeline that we could add to that portfolio out in that area. And we're looking at wrapping up quite a few others in, DFW, Houston, and pretty much across the Southeast as well. And, really working a lot hand in hand, side by side with Elevate. But there's a lot of other great syndicators out there. And that's become a part of our business plan is, if we want to be the best, we've got to partner with the best. So if I can see, their operations, their processes on how they conduct their businesses, then I know what kind of traits and what skills that we need to kind of mock and copy and paste into our stuff, into our business plan so that we can be at their level someday and even beyond. So that's something I encourage anybody that whatever level of game you are, whatever level you're on, where it's just getting started out or you feel like you're at the top of your game, there's always somebody out there that has a new way of doing it that could add to your skill set to make you just that much more efficient, to give you just that much more of a step up to a next level. So don't be afraid of putting yourself out there and talking to other people and networking to really grow your strengths and really work on your weaknesses.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, man. Really is I really see that you're very focused on reaching out to people, reaching out to experienced operators that you can learn from. Right. And as long as we're learning, we're growing. A buddy of mine the other day told me that actually it was a quote from Albert Einstein. He said, hey, as long as you're learning, I'm going to paraphrase, when we're learning, we're not dying.
Yeah.
Right? When we're learning, we're not dying. And, I think there's a lot of truth in that. Just constantly finding ways to learn and grow. And it sounds like you do a really, really good job of that. So Elevate, we gave a plug out to them, which I think is pretty cool. and you found a way to create some synergies with them. And it sounds like a couple of others. So that's a great, I think, way to share a part of your model, which is networking, right? Which is pretty cool. So this first deal, walk us through this, right? How did you find it? The financing structure, management, and then at some point you're going to exit, but let's just talk about the first three components of the cycle.
Yeah. So looking at finding it, this one was through a broker, KW Commercial. They call themselves the Go-Getters. So there's another plug. Those guys have been really good with us, through this entire process. And when we put in our offer, they really helped look at our offer and look at everything that we had to offer, just within our team. You know, brokers got a big role when they're representing a property of finding a buyer that is both creditable and they know their certainty of closes there. So we really did have a good brochure that highlighted all of our team and our roles and our strengths, as well as doing that with that. And that actually got us, we didn't realize, we're just like, okay, we should put together a resume. You know, if you're submitting an offer, they ask for a bio or a resume or something. Most people just, you know, send them a Word document. But we took the time to put together a nice PowerPoint slideshow that had, you know, pictures and had bios and had our strategies and had our business plans. And, you know, once we put it under contract and went out there and started doing the due diligence, the owners of the property actually came out while we were there. And one of them just so happened to be an Air Force veteran as well. But he saw the logo I'm not wearing my polo today, but he saw our polo and recognized the logo just from us submitting our offer and seeing our brochure and said, "Oh, you're the VFR team. Y'all are the veterans and first responders." He's like, "Oh, yeah, I really liked y'all's bio. That was really professional. I really liked it." And, you know, just stuck around just to talk with us, just business and the property and whatever. But, so I think that was something that gave us a little bit of an edge there. And, you know, just like I said, leverage your strengths, highlight your strengths there. And, we got that, and then reaching out to a really strong finance broker. We had Cornerstone Capital. They are out of New York, and they brought the debt to the table to make sure that, hey, it fit our business model, it fit our business plan. We had to go back and forth on a few times, but they're really good about doing that, and something that they offered to even be our key principals on our loan. So, that's not bad. Not only are you going to bring the debt, but you're going to sign on it for us. Okay. Well, that gave me the confidence to know that my underwriting was good. So that was that. And then really getting, Jana, our asset manager, she stepped in and got the contractors out there, and we really followed the rule of three. So let me step back one more step. Before we finalized our offer, we got a property manager, and we interviewed 3 different property managers. We interviewed the current property manager that was already on site managing the property, and 2 others. And that's usually how we do. We get 3 debt quotes. We get 3 performers from 3 different property managers. Anything we look at, it's usually in 3s. And then we picked the best one, that we felt the most confident with as a team. So it wasn't always the best price, but it was definitely who do we feel is going to be able to deliver on their pitch, on their projected. So that's something that we did. And we had our property management team come out there, and wow, they made it easy. So I'll tell you this, your property manager is very well going to be something that makes or breaks your business plan. And they showed up with 12 people strong. They already had a strong presence in this market, and they had one group set aside that just did the finance audit the entire time, while we were breaking it up into 2 different teams, going to door to door to door, and had a full report ready for us. Jenna had the contractors following up to give us bids on all the things that we wanted to do. And we really did, having a strong team where everyone could focus on their responsibilities and then share that with the team, so everyone knew, okay, hey, we're all on the same page, we're all aligned well. It was definitely something that I think has made this process go as smooth as it has. I mean, I'm not going to say it's been flawless, but I really don't think I've heard of someone say, "Oh, that was the flawless execution throughout the entire acquisition process." But we're still moving right along, and I feel good about where we're going to be at the closing, and then taking over this and really being able to start our CapEx day one, and really hitting the ground running on this project.
All right, awesome, man. So talk a little bit about the economics of the deal, right? Just in summary. So, price.
Yeah. So we came into this property about $4.6 million. Okay. That was about $38,000 a door. And we're going to, put into our budget of about a little over $550,000. Sorry, not five. $550,000 into the CapEx. So that's going to be our renovation. Now, there had already been quite a bit of renovation done to this property throughout COVID, but the previous owners were very conservative and not really continuing their business plan, and due to COVID, but we still held high on the occupancy throughout COVID at 90%. So we're just really picking up where they left off, and we're going to match the theme that there is going in this area. And I mean, if you look at the apartment across the street, you look at the hotel across the street, you look at the area, there's this color theme that has started. So we're going to, instead of being the outcast, we're going to really blend to that, to really say, hey, look, this is an up and coming area, and really put in some CapEx to the exterior as well as the interior. The bones of this property were really solid, so that was a blessing. They just had the roofs replaced a few months back, so it was like, all right, cool. Well, we don't have to worry about that. We're looking at refinancing at the end of year 2, and then going into our perm debt. And I think we're going with I know we're going with agency. We're going with agency. We've already got our bridge lender and our perm lender locked in, ready to go. And we're going to exit this after a 6-year hold time. So overall, the deal is looking at 115 ROI. So little over 2-time equity multiplier on this deal. And we still got a few tricks up our sleeves that we're holding back on, because I love to build business models that are, where we can, under promise and over deliver. So we still have quite a few room for conservativeness and, wiggle room on case, when things, you always got to plan for hiccups, plan for the best. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. And so we feel really solid in our position moving into this with the economy in that area. I will say that Amazon is about to build they've already been approved, plans are already there. They're building a distribution center there. And so this is by no means a single industry, economy. It's a very strong economy, very diverse, and most of it is built off of medical. So as we all know, COVID, if you look at across any, smaller secondary markets, those that had a good medical hub, as a leading, a leading job and leading industry in that economy, in that market, they fared well through COVID. So we feel solid in where we are. And as we can, kind of say that word COVID without everybody freaking out, we feel confident in where we're going to be when we go to exit this deal.
Awesome, bud. I really like the summary. So going through that process, if you could do it, well, you haven't closed on it yet, right?
Yeah.
You haven't closed on it yet. But if you could go through your due diligence process again, what would you change? Or what would you improve maybe is a better...
No, yeah. Something I do, and I don't know if I know military is really known for it, but I know there's other industries that pick this up, is an after action report. So I have already started through this entire process an after action report. Anything that went bad, anything that went well, we're taking notes on every step along the way, so that when we do close this, I've already told the team, and they know we're going to have a meeting to go over everybody's notes. What did you think went well? What did you think went horribly wrong? And what do you think for the next deal we could do better? Like I said, every opportunity, no matter how successful or how much of an utter failure is, we want to improve, because we're not just doing this one deal. We're going to do deals for a while. So as far as few of the things that I think that we could have improved upon, is identify some of your vendors pre-contract. And we thought we had some good names in place, and we thought we had some good referrals in place, and we thought, but some things you just don't know until you test. It's like dating. You just don't know until it's like, all right, cool. It takes some time to really learn people's true character and true possibilities. And, luckily, everybody on my team was willing to adapt and overcome and be flexible through all of that as those hurdles hit us. And we just didn't just drop everything and go, well, we're done. We screwed up. We've had to shift gears. We've had to add other co-sponsors. With the guy that was supposed to raise the full raise for this dropped the ball completely. He didn't raise a dime. And we were sitting into this going, oh boy, what do we do? What do we do? You said you were good for the full raise. Now you're telling us you're good for zero?
Well, that didn't work out.
Yeah. So I will say this, vet people out. Spend the time to ask the questions. And everybody we had talked to took the time to vet us out. And we were spending too much, we spent the whole time on those conversations talking about us. Why should you give us a chance? Why should you partner with us on this deal? What do we bring to the table? And we were so new and just so excited that, someone's willing to partner with us, that we never did flip that over and say, all right, what have you done? What is your average this? How often have you done that? How many times have you done this? How many times have you failed? What did you do when you failed? We didn't flip that around, and I had to pull an audible real quick. I had to say, all right, cool. We went into a meeting, and when the guy dropped the news on us, now I'm not gonna throw his name out there. But it was a devastating blow. We're like, whoa. You don't have any dollars amount?
How many days were you in the deal, man, at this point?
We were done with due diligence and dang near at the end of our finance period. I'll tell you that. And I was
what was the total raise requirement?
It was 1.5. It was a $1.5 million raise.
That's not bad, yeah.
And no, not bad. It should be easy for someone that says that they can raise up to $4 million. But like I said, we didn't vet them out. We didn't spend the time doing our due diligence on our co-sponsors, and we should have. So if I could do one thing different, I would have spent the time before contract to vetting out co-sponsors. Now, since then, I went back to the drawing board and I was like, I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to let a little wrench like this of $1.5 million prevent me from closing a deal. And I went to the drawing board and I made two processes, one for that one and one to make sure that situation never happened again. And I built out a process and I put my guys at it. And within 1 week, we had over 25 potential people that we had interviewed to raise for that. In 1 week, we went from there's $0 and even soft commits to there's over $2 million in commits in 1 week. And that was a lot of just being able to overcome a hurdle. And I feel that a lot of people get hit one time, get hit with that. They face a hurdle and they go, oh, that's a roadblock. I can't go down this road. And I think that's one thing that I have to contest to our mindset of in the, my background in the Marine Corps, the other guys that are first responders and veterans as well, is we get hit in the face all day long. And I love Mike Tyson's quote here that says, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth.
Right.
We got hit in the mouth and we didn't sit down and go, let's just let the ref count us out and we're out. No, we got back up, we dusted it off and we came back stronger. And that's something that I feel puts VFR ahead of a lot of even successful teams that have the door count to prove their success. I think that's something in our mindset and our capabilities and our potential that we are still able to compete at a very premium level in this very competitive industry that we're in. So if anyone that is out there that is just getting started out and wants to look for a good, strong partner that could be your equal and could be someone that's willing to show you, the ropes and show you that we're willing to co-sponsor with other teams, and we will open up our networks to say, hey, look, if all you guys the deal, then we'll go and put together the rest with our co-sponsors and make sure that, we can help your deal cross the finish line. So, I'm more than happy to work with other teams and share my failures, share my lessons learned from my failures, as well as other people's successes and their failures. So, but yeah, that's probably the one thing that I would go back differently is be better prepared for that first hit, because it will come.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And it's just part of business, right? And I think that is truly what does create some separation, is how do you deal with the roadblocks and the challenges? Because nothing in business is perfect, right? I mean, nothing is perfect, but I think how we take those challenges and convert them to opportunities is really what will either propel us forward, man, or set us back. And sometimes you're going to have both, but then again, you have to make a decision once you do get hit in the mouth, as you said, right? And that's part of business. And that's why I love this business.
Yep.
Well, hey, bud, I really appreciate you. Thanks for being on. Great show. I think you really added a lot of value to our audience and walked them through a couple things, right? You talked about some of your core strengths, and that was looking at process, the importance of developing teams, and looking at failures as an opportunity to learn and grow constantly. And you gave a great example of how you're constantly looking to expand your network to be able to leverage more successful syndicators in this space, to be constantly evolving and growing your process, which I think is great. And then using that as a learning opportunity for you to figure out different ways to constantly elevate, how you do business and how you do business as a team. Another big takeaway was the importance of building teams. And I really appreciate you being open about, your compensation method for the partners that you currently have, right? And not only on the equity side of the business, but also on the fee side of the equation, right? The origination fee. So thank you, man, for being on. You've been a tremendous guest. Really appreciate having you on, Wes. I always like to ask this question, since I've been asking you questions for the last 40 minutes, is what question do you have of me before, we get into you sharing how folks can get in touch with you? What is the one question, rather, that you think can add some value to our audience?
What question I have that could...
What question do you have of me that you feel can add some value to our audience?
That's a good one. I guess the best thing that I know that I've asked is, what do you feel gives you your edge? That's what I like to know. Like, everybody that I sit down and I talk to, what do you feel is like your key to your success thus far?
That's a really good question, man.
It might be a whole podcast in itself right there, right?
Yeah, I'll answer that really quickly because I know what that is, but I'm going to also preface that by saying that, you have to be willing to evolve. Mine is, I'm just ferocious at evolving, man. I'll find a way to evolve when necessary, right? When things get challenging or when things are very opportunistic and I understand the opportunity, I'll evolve into it. And I think, having that mindset, right? Just keeping a mind that's pliable and always willing to learn and absorb is really my advantage. That is my advantage. I will find a way to evolve and take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah. In Marine Corps, we use the terms, adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
A lot. You hear that. Adapt and overcome. If you got to dig a ditch and you don't have a shovel, adapt and overcome. If you ever bring an excuse to a higher up, adapt and overcome, Marine. Like, what are you bringing me your problems for? No, that's good.
Yeah, that is for sure. I think a really big one, in not only in this space but in any space, right? Now, with that said, there have been times where I've hit some pretty big roadblocks. Like, I'm going through one right now on a very large project. And so I've had to pivot, right? And what I had to do in this case, because this project, a little bit beyond, my experiences up to this point, I literally hired someone to help me see beyond some of the obstacles that I just could not see beyond today, right? and paid them for that. And now things are moving forward again at a much faster pace. And, again, I just look at it. It's really simple, right? My upside is X. Okay. I'm willing to hire someone for Y, and I'm going to go out and collect Z. But that's what I do. That's what I do really well, right? Is figure that stuff out, be willing to take the lumps, but evolve through that stuff and find ways to learn. The other side of that too is I think at this point in my life, I'm much better at reaching out to people and finding who I need to work with to be able to move something forward. But that's just, I think, part of being adaptable, right? Because the larger the projects get, and I think sometimes the more intricate they get, it's just really important to build great teams of people.
Yeah.
And, understanding who to reach out to for specific things, to your point, the leverage, I think is crucial. That's if you want to enjoy this business and have a great life as well, right? Not a good life, but man, a great life that you actually.
Well, I've got a wife and 4 kids, so trust me.
People are crucial. People are critical. But I think adaptability and learning how to evolve is just an important element in this space, but really in any business.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Flexibility and persistence are 2 key traits that every entrepreneur needs to either develop or already have going into something. So no, I appreciate that.
I was on this panel a couple of years ago, and actually someone else reached out to me, a student at a university in San Diego, one of my alma mater, one of them at least. And one of the questions was, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. This is what I'm doing today. What do you suggest I do to help me move into that space, right? I mean, what are some things that I can start doing today? And my comment was, go run a marathon. Right? Go run a marathon or do a triathlon. Mm-hmm. And the reason why, and looked at me very confused, right? But I think there's this misnomer that when you step into the realm of being an entrepreneur, that things are going to be easy, and they're just not. That's not reality, and it's not communicated, I think, as reality, especially in colleges or just in educational forums, right? That's just not what's communicated. So if you go into this lifestyle, if you go into this business, rather, understanding that you just have to have resolve. I think anything that anything that you can do, or that you prepare yourself for to create that, is only going to enhance your success in this business. And so that's why I tell them, look, if you really want to understand.
No, it's the mindset. It's having that tenacious, persistent. I mean, Ray Kroc has a really great quote about persistence. I don't have it memorized off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you type in Ray Kroc, who is the founder of what we know now as McDonald's, and type in persistent, it'll pop right up. But, you've got to have that. You've got to have that resilience. You've got to have that tenacity. And no, I think a marathon is really great. I mean, even earning the title Marine, it's 80% mental, 20% physical. Yeah. I mean, it's mental, because your mind, if you can control your mind to overcome pain and stress and just failure, you will be able to reach farther heights and farther into your endeavors and making your dreams a reality than most others, because it's not an easy path. And when you're moving into the entrepreneur world, you are putting down a guaranteed paycheck to go into an uncertainty. But the reason I put down a guaranteed salary in writing paycheck to go after an uncertainty is because I had to have a long talk with myself. And when I say talk with myself, I was reading the book, You Can't Hurt Me or Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And that whole have that man in the mirror talk. I was in my truck.
I was driving down the road and then I had to seriously just talk outside. It was just me in the truck, so it didn't matter. You know, I probably looked crazy or I looked like I was singing going down the road, but no, I had to.
You, man. I appreciate you, Wes.
Yeah. Like, you know, I had to call myself some hard truths on that. Why are you living in fear?
I get it.
And I had to realize, like, are my fears from me or my fears from external? And I realized the reason why my team was so important and the people I surrounded myself with is because you're going to be an average. You don't have a choice. This is just human, just naturalness. I don't even know the right word for it, but you can't control. You are going to be an average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Now, if those 5 people are idiots, guess what? So you need to find yourself people that you can look up to, that you can learn from. You've got to go and put yourself in situations where you are the dumbest person in the room and be happy for it. And I had to realize that I wanted to believe in myself and see the potential in me and what I was capable of setting the bar at instead of some job industry standard bar. And I had to, and I made it a public post. Cause if it ain't on Facebook, it ain't official, right? And I went on Facebook and I have a screenshot of this on Facebook. And I said, I am going to chase my dream because I would rather fail chasing my dream than live with the regret of never trying. So I believe in the potential in what I'm capable of doing more than I believe in the security of what somebody else is willing to provide for me to help build their dream.
And by the way, what you just expressed, okay, your mindset or just the mental side of just being able to get things done, that, by the way, can be learned. That is a skill that can be acquired. But you have to be willing to put yourself on the other side of that pain, man. And that's just,
you got to look beyond the pain. I promise you, everything that I've ever accomplished in my lifetime has been on the other side of a little bit of uncomfortableness, pain.
For sure.
I've done a lot. I've been a sponsored MMA fighter. I've done, all kinds of different stuff. No, I've never had formal training in anything that I'm doing today. I mean, none. But what did I want? I wanted this. I wanted to make this dream in my head a reality that I lived. And I wanted to set that example, not just for me, but for my kids, for others looking at me. Because people are watching, whether you realize it or not, people are watching and they're either just glancing at you and seeing nothing, or they're looking at you and they're seeing you overcome something. People love to watch a contender. Champions are fun to watch, but those contenders that are climbing their way to the top, they catch attention too. And one thing that I've learned in this is that people that have it, that it factor, whether they're at the top or at the middle, they recognize it in other people. So put yourself out there and don't be afraid to fail, because I've been picked up by some pretty astounding people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I've had some really great conversations with them. But if I would have never even shown up, I would have never got that advice that I needed to quit listening to other people that are holding you back and start listening to where you want to be and start chasing where you want to be and let go where you're at. Because 2 years ago, I was living in a shack. I couldn't even sleep in my bedroom because there was leaks in the roof. I was making $1,300 a month. I've been homeless. I mean, you can overcome so much if you just let yourself listen to the right people and really build a plan and put in the action, put in the work. So that's really what I have to say to anybody out there that's considering chasing their dream. It's not easy, but it's accomplished.
If it was, it wouldn't be a dream.
What's that?
I said, if it was, it wouldn't be a dream.
And that's something too. I mean, I don't feel that we are meant to have any dreams that we're not capable of accomplishing in ourselves. Because why would we have that? That to me would be torture. But if you're too lazy to go out and make your dreams a reality, that's your fault. Nobody else's but you at the end of the day. And you got to live with that. And I didn't want to. So I said, screw it. I'm going to chase mine.
Yeah, 100%. Well, hey man, thanks for being on. It's been a great show. Really appreciate you being on. And I would like to wish you continued success. You know, I look forward to having another conversation when you're at 1,000 doors, and
there we go.
You know, that's going to be another rich conversation, right? A lot of experiences gained. So how do people find you out there, Wes?
Yeah. So, best way to get a hold of me is, an email is Wesley at VFR, and that's, Veterans and First Responders, capitalinvestments.com. And, if you go to that VFR Capitalinvestments.com, that is a website, and you can see me on there too. So, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. And, if you got any questions, I'd be willing to, answer what I can. And if I don't know it, I'll, try to point you in the right direction.
Awesome, bud. Well, hey, bud, I want to wish you again continued success. Thanks for being on. And I look forward to, hearing your successes.
Yeah. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Clarity of purpose creates our greatest competitive advantage. When we transform apartment buildings to thriving communities, we improve how people live and create assets with high profit margins. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this up with a friend. I'm John Brackett, bringing you things you can implement right away.